and as his family began to grow. Now, how many brothers and sisters do you
Well,
have?
five. My oldest sister just passed, but it
Yes.
was for Carol, and God bless her soul. But yeah, it's four now. And then, my nephew was really raised in the business. It's a few years difference,
Oh, yeah.
but everybody always thought he was just, and he actually was, because
Yes.
he was just raised along, and he was kind of, he was the oldest nephew, the oldest grandson, so he was a little Dutch uncle to
That's
the rest
Masai.
That's Masai. Yeah,
That was my
he
buddy.
passed. God bless him too. Yeah, he was a little Dutch uncle to the rest of them. My mom, 12 grands and 4 great grands.
Now, your mother played a role too?
Pat, my mother, in a real sense, as I said, was able to come in and always had a part in the business in terms of keeping the office in order, per se, taking in a lot of the orders for the tickets, the posters, just wherever she was needed, but a fast learner. And as I said, a really a wonderful helpmate to my dad in the business. And, my grandmother, and one of the blessings is that I really got a chance to see both sides of my family on a regular.
Right.
But my grandmother, we saw just about every day. And she came into work every day. I mean, Pat, she came in, she had a routine. We would go downtown and pick up ads together, and she was quite a Carmelita I'm speaking about. Now, she was quite a lady in terms of her business decorum, and my mother's, it was the same way, very, very astute, very business-like. And I think one of the things that I learned, they always really work to do the right thing in front of us, and Pat, all of us, wherever we are, wherever we come from, we have a genetic makeup and a makeup from our environment. And sometimes we act or react better to what we see than sometimes what people say.
Mm-hmm.
But they really tried to set a wonderful example in terms of family, and inside of that, they were really the reason that outside of family that we would fall in love with our community.
Yes, sir.
Because they were really community-based people, and through their lifestyle, really reverenced God, and we were able to see God in them and through them, where we were able to be raised as a family to get along, and then be a part of community happenings.
Now, tell me about all your siblings now.
Well, okay, my oldest sister, Carol, passed. The next sister is Evelyn.
Now, her children were Chad.
Oh, the oldest sister is, her son, their children were Masai and Chad. And my nephew passed a few years ago, and he was a real integral part.
That was your right hand.
That was my right hand. That was my right hand. Yeah, he was out and about, and he worked in distribution wherever we needed Masai, he can work.
Oh yeah.
And that's one young man I miss every day. That's for real. I think we all miss him.
Absolutely.
Every day there. But then I had my second sister is Evelyn, and she's an associate editor along with my sister Frances.
Now, Evelyn is who I talk to on the daily.
All the time. She's usually in the office. I tell her she's the glue. She's keeping everything together. My sister Frances, she's a person that's in the field like myself. I'm probably in the field a little bit more than her.
Uh-huh.
She's she's in and keeps things rolling.
Now, Francis is married to Frank.
Frank Gist.
And he's also a writer.
He's a writer.
With the paper.
Yep, he writes a column. And he's also a Bills bondsman. I don't know where Bills bonds are now.
I don't know. They changed
They
the law.
changed the
right?
law. But he's also a retired firefighter.
Right.
So, and his family, Frank Gist's family, they were in the Bills bonds business for many years. In fact, just in my comings and goings, I think it was just Mr. Gist and John Smith.
Okay.
I think they were maybe the only two bondsmen for a number of years, but Mr. Gist was a real fixture.
Right.
Earl Gist was a real fixture in the legal community in terms of the Bills bonds. Yeah.
Now, your family.
Yeah. And then I have, who did I forget? Bruce.
Well, Bruce is the youngest.
Bruce is the youngest. Bruce is, he's
tremendous athlete.
He was an athlete.
Tremendous runner at East.
Yes, still trying to run, still trying he's trying to.
Well, that's where I met him.
Oh, is that right?
Years ago, he was running for East.
Yeah, love sports, love track
Tremendous
and field.
middle distance runner.
Yeah, love track and field, and still helping me.
Now he looks more like your dad than anybody.
He certainly does.
He
Yeah,
absolutely
he certainly
looks
does.
just like
yeah,
Frank
yeah,
Jr.
Yeah, he certainly does.
And his son looks just like Bruce.
That's right. That's right. That's one of my mother's 12 grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but the kids are all doing well.
Now your family, come on.
Oh, my family is Brandy.
Yes.
That's my oldest daughter. My middle daughter is Kelly, probably the quietest one out of here, and then there's Khadijah.
Now Khadijah used to be your other right
Yeah,
hand.
she traveled with me for many, and still helps me out. Well, all the girls, they still help out, but Khadijah and I were together for a number of years, and when she went to school, still had an interest, and I said, Khadijah, listen, go do this schooling because technology is changing.
Yeah.
And I gotta have you girls to keep the old man in the loop on this Facebook and all of this other computer technology. And so, but the kids are doing well. And, the way the paper is done now and the way we gather news, they're an integral part because they're able to keep up with this much faster than me.
Well, let me ask you more on your dad. He seemed to pick up the mantle right from where Frank Sr.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people confuse the two of
Oh,
them.
absolutely. Yeah.
And they don't realize Frank Sr. is your grandfather.
That's my
Frank
grandfather.
Jr. In his own right was a tremendous person in the community and just seemed to pick up everything that your father, your grandfather was working on prior.
Yeah.
He was active in Urban League.
Active in a number of civil rights organizations. Was a musician. He had a band for a number of years and enjoyed writing. I think he Pat, he enjoyed taking pictures.
Yes.
And I was just always mesmerized by him out covering events, and he used to do that with such ease.
Is that where you got the perfectionist
Well,
thing
Pat,
from?
you know what? It was funny about that. When I first started taking pictures, he stayed with the 4x5 format, which was a big press camera. It had a 4x5 negative, and he only got 2 shots.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to load up again, or carry other what they called holders. And so I started out. I had 12 shots, but I used to just take one picture, and we come back and he said, Frankie, let's drop that in the soup and see what we have. And he'd look, and he'd, oh yeah, you've been here. Oh yeah, that's good. Then he used to say, well, how come you went to Pat Freeman's? How come you only took one picture? And he said, our thing, everybody when they're out, they usually will come out and their presentation is always the best. They have the best ties, the best shirt, the best cologne, the best perfume, you know, the nicest clothes. And he said, that's where you are. Right? People may not know that, but you always want to present your picture in a wonderful, wonderful fashion. And if it means taking an extra 30 seconds, take it. And I never realized that. He said, you ever see people get up and speak? I said, yeah, you know, Pat, that's what you do. You know, you watch people speak. And he says, do you think sometimes they may go over the time spot or the allotted time for him? I said, yeah. He said, well, you do that too sometimes. That's okay. He said, does anybody say, man, you got to stop? No, they go on. He said, they just don't realize what you're trying to do. But, you know, 25 years, you don't want to take a picture and a guy says, oh, that's me. Where? I'm standing behind Pat. Don't you see me? No. Just had the people move over. So that was his thing. They never rushed him because I guess he was an older guy. Maybe me.
They don't rush you either.
Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes they,
but you're a perfectionist.
Yeah, so
if you don't, you always get on me about my glasses drooping down. Yeah. And if you didn't do that, I would take a bad picture.
Okay.
You know? Okay. So a lot of people need to thank you for.
Well, thank you for that,
the work
Pat.
that you've done.
Yeah. Pat, I really. Events I enjoy. Sometimes I'm a little tired. You know, you cover several.
You
events.
Cover too many.
Yeah,
I said
know.
You're only human.
True. But I'm like that. But then when you drop the fish into the water, see how they come alive.
Right. But most people don't realize in an average day, you go from event to event, taking pictures. Giving people notoriety on the work that they do in the community. And they don't realize how much work and effort that you put in to do it. And I've always told you
yes,
that,
you have, Pat, and I appreciate that.
You know, I appreciate you tremendously, not only as a friend and a brother, but I appreciate your dedication to this community along with your family, producing an entity like the Buffalo Criterion on a weekly basis is a tremendous undertaking. And I have now, I think, I'm behind Eva Doyle. Sister Doyle's been writing close to over 40 years now.
Yes.
And I think I'm up to 25.
25, yeah. Well, you know, we've had some wonderful people that are more than just writers in terms of our family. Or reporters, you know, they're just an integral part of our family, you know. And I often think of, you know, just in my time, you know, there was Miss Hetty Pasco and there was Mark
O'Reilly. Yeah,
you know,
that was my man.
Those were guys. I think Mrs. Doyle would be
Chris Stevenson.
Chris is gone, and just a number. And you know, we've got to.
Chris was the absolute revolutionary.
Absolute. That's right.
That was my buddy.
Yeah, he was, and you know, we had a wonderful relationship out, and you know, he'd be on the road. He'd call me from all over the country. he would tell me this and tell me that, but you know, our blessing has been people like you, Ed, and I say, man. 25 years, Pat, that's a long time.
Goes by quick. And when you see you've got film evidence.
Yeah.
I've got that picture you took of me and Khadijah when she was little.
Yeah, that was at the station.
I'm like, oh my goodness, man. Time has just flown by.
And it's been, Pat, and it's been a nice experience for the kids in the family. You know, the generation under me, because, you know, they sit, they work, they look at the pictures, and they know everybody, just from the pictures, and I think that's a great thing. I went to the State of the Black Family, and it's an event that
Umoja
Umoja, Brother Peoples hosts. that program, and it's a wonderful program. And I this year, December 2019, I was one of the presenters, and there's maybe 15 other presenters, and I listened, and all of those stories that were told, I felt as though I was a part of them because I either knew the people, experienced this story,
or took pictures.
You took pictures. They came into business. My father knew them. It was some connection to every one of those presenters that was on that, and many of Bill's programs.
Many of them are ancestors.
Yeah,
some of the people. Dr. Isaac Musa Barashango, remember where he came in. Dr. Khalid Muhammad. You can just go down the list, man. You have a documented history that needs to be tapped into. And we're going to have to do more interviews of this nature because I'm just scratching the surface of the brain of Frank Merriweather the Third. Okay? The library's not named.
That's right.
It's named after his dad.
That's right.
And his grandfather and Carmelita are the founders of the Criterion Press, which later became the Buffalo Criterion newspaper. We have done a job educating.
Yes, thank you for that.
And we're even on Facebook Live. Can you believe that?
Yeah, Pat, I can. You know, and as I said, I want to really give a shout out to all of the writers and the contributors, our extended family. You know, Ms. Doyle will be 41 years with us.
41.
At the end
Her
of this
event
month.
is the 29th?
29th, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, over at the Merriweather.
Over at the Merriweather Library.
Right, and then Pat, you're in next at
25.
At 25, and Jewel McGee has been with Mr. Ted Kirkland, has been a contributor for a number of years.
Brother Ted.
Sister Amin and Baba Ing, they're contributing. And I said to myself, these are some folks, man, you could trust what they say.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean, Pat? That's
incredible.
Beautiful.
Nobody's ever attacked me from an article that I've written.
That's right. You know, and
now, you know, from that, this year I was brought into the Pro Football Writers Association from what I've done at the Buffalo Criterion over 25 years.
So. Well, Pat, as I said, we thank you, and not only are you just an invaluable asset to my family and the paper, but just to the community at large. You know, it's something I think about your show, and Pat, when I'm working Saturday morning, I said, man, Pat is on his way in.
I'm on the Rochester now.
And then,
I'm trying to keep the comedy thing alive.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, you know, this is a man, should he retire from the sports
should I
industry,
retire and just go into comedy?
He can go. My family says he's got a career waiting in comedy. Oh, man. So, but yeah, I mean, Pat, just a nice thing, and
I would hope, and the reason I wanted to do this interview is because so many people see you at the events. They don't get to talk to you the way I do. And the amount of information there is that you have and how your family has played an integral part in the African community of this area, let alone the nation, I think is a story that has to be told. And we have to continue to tell that story.
Well, thank you, Pat, for your work, and thank you for this platform. Pat, you know, I was saying, because my daughter was saying, Daddy, you know, you've taken a lot of pictures of Baba Pat. Now you're going to be on the show. I said, that's right. I'm going to be. I'm going to be on the. I'm going to be. She was just saying, out of all of the different events, Pat, that we've covered, from, you know, masonry down to your sports,
everything,
your community service, you know, with your family, your mom who's a sweetheart, you know, your daughter, the Mrs. Pat Freeman, all of that. I mean, it's been a wonderful,
smoking
wonderful
salmon too.
Smoking salmon, pictures of smoking salmon. You know, this man, he's got a career and he's a pit master. Yeah. I'm telling you, that's right, Pat. You see. And I mean, we've been blessed to be.
It's all part of the service.
Yeah. Well, Pat, we thank you for that.
I thank you and your family for providing a platform for not only this community, along with the other papers in our community. It has to be a form of dedication that's inside of you to continue to do that type of work. And I thank you tremendously for giving me that platform, which has led to many doors opening for me. Not only being brought into the Pro Football Writers Association, but also going to the Fritz Pollard Alliance at the Super Bowl and my Super Bowl coverages was all in part due to my association with the Buffalo Criterion newspaper. So without that newspaper, I would not have that professional credibility, and I thank you for that.
Well, Pat, you know, we thank you in this work, you know, and our journey here, living on this planet called Earth. You know, we're called to love people. But Pat, see, you an easy brother to love, and you're a fantastic writer. You know, some folks are a little harder to love, Pat.
We're gonna have to do this again.
I look forward to that.
We're about out of time here on Pro Talk with the Mighty Oba. This is a special edition of Pro Talk with the Mighty Oba with my good friend, the publisher of the Buffalo Criterion newspaper, Frank Merriweather III.
That's right.
Frank Merriweather Jr. is his dad, which the library is named after, but the founder of the Buffalo Criterion newspaper and Criterion Press was Frank Sr. and his grandmother, Carmelita.
Yeah.
And we honor them. This is Black History Month.
Yes.
And you have provided us a continuance of Black history and service to our community.
Well,
here
we
in
thank
Western
you.
New
Like
York.
I say, Pat, we could not do that, our work, without the wonderful writers that we have and contributors, the community at large, and Pat, even our spouses, because you know this is not a 9-to-5
No, it
gig.
isn't.
You know what I'm saying?
And they get mad.
Yeah.
You gotta have date nights.
You gotta have date nights. You know, so thank you, and as I said, Pat, even beyond the work, I certainly appreciate your friendship and your brotherhood, and you know, it's good to be with good people.
Absolutely.
And I really and truly thank you for that. And if I thanked you, Pat, you know, 1,000,000 times, it wouldn't be enough. So
I appreciate you.
Yep,
That's all for us here on Pro Talk. Live with the Mighty Oba today. We did an experiment on Facebook Live, and we were live today with my good friend, Frank Merriweather III.
Thank you, Patrick.
And y'all need to make that distinction. Please make that distinction. Frank Merriweather III, Frank Merriweather Jr., and Frank Merriweather Sr. 3 different people.
That's right.
All great within their own right.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you very much.
All right. That's all for us here today on Pro Talk with the Mighty Oba.
Thank you. God bless.